Welcome to Heart Space, a sanctuary where holistic, mindful service is honored and the heart leads the way. Here, we open space for guidance and deep restoration for both heart and spirit. I'm Eve Alexandra Ruiz, a doctor who, after psychiatry training, left traditional medicine to more wholly use the wisdom of the heart, helping visionary entrepreneurs who've experienced manipulation to realign with purpose, rise in power, and create lives of deep personal purpose and professional fulfillment. And today, I am so excited to introduce you to Gizzi. For 24 years, he's awfully young. So what, this was since you were five?
No,
Casey.
I'm almost 40. I'm 39. So,
All right.
when I was
Well,
like 15, I got
that's
into it.
awesome. That's a lot of
Yeah.
devotion. Since his adolescence, Casey has been practicing Western astrology, specializing in natal charts and forecast chart readings. Now, Casey is not just an astrologer or astrologist. Which one is it?
Uh, Either
Either?
or is fine. I mean,
Cool.
yeah, it's be both. They're the same thing.
Great. He is an astrologist with a twist. And I am going to hand the mic over to Casey so he can start describing to you the unique ways, at least listing off some of the unique ways that he will do a reading for you. Casey.
All right. So, yeah, I basically the form of astrology that I do is more of the foundational classical kind, the ancient like Hellenistic astrology. Um, I do also couple in a lot of like the modern twists, like evolutionary astrology and many other modern techniques. Um, so I do offer a kind of different approach. I use the with ancient astrology, I use the whole sign house system. There are a lot of confusion in regards to what house system to use. The whole sign house system is the simplest and easiest one to use. And that way, if you know the order of the zodiac, it's easy to figure out how to uh, how to know your chart based on from your rising sign following down the order, and so there's no confusion in that. Um, and that's one of the perks using traditional astrology. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Right. It-
Uh,
can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Great. If
yeah, I
I
can hear.
could just intervene for a moment, because I know that you are a wonderful teacher of these things. Al- Although we don't have time for actual a whole lesson, would you mind just sharing a
Yeah.
few words about the houses and how that would be relevant for the audience to understand what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean that is a big complicated subject. I'll try to kind
Okay.
of minimize. So
Uh-huh.
when you compute a natal chart online, it will
Mhm.
normally default to a what is called a Placidus house system, and that means like it's not signed to house. So like there's 12 houses in the around the wheel of the zodiac. There's 12 signs, um, but they may not start. The Placidus will not always give you like an order coming down from your rising sign. So let's just say we'll just use a natural order like Aries rising. The second sign that precedes is Taurus, and then Gemini, Cancer, and stuff like that. Um, Other house systems will actually use different. It'll process down from the zodiac, but it won't be an exact degree, and sometimes won't even be in the same. Sometimes it'll overlap or miss a sign because of the way they use the house system. Whereas the whole sign house system is just sign to house. If you have um, Taurus rising, then that just means you have the everything processing down from Taurus is Gemini's second house, Cancer's third house, Leo's fourth house, and there's no complication in it. I don't know if that fully helps to not complicate things, because I
No
know
worries.
astrology is complex, but
And no worries.
um,
We needn't delve
yeah,
into any more of those details. Sorry, I just heard the house
yeah,
and I thought people might not understand that. But really,
yeah.
these
Maybe
treatments,
maybe I shouldn't have brought it up, but it is a kind of
no
like an
worries.
important part of
I'm
this.
glad you did so that everyone here can appreciate the complexity of what you've been doing for so many years. You've just established yourself as a great expert and authority in this field. And this segment is all about how you can serve others using your craft. So, if
Mhm.
you'd like to step back for a moment and tell us something about what inspired you to get into this.
Well, I my mother always was like somewhat into it. I would overhear her talking about it, bringing it
Yeah.
up, and then my older siblings kind of were like, "Oh, that's kind of interesting," and like it always kind of like struck a chord with me. I felt like, um, and I just thought, oh, that's cool, that's interesting, whatever. And then by the time I was 15, there was a book by Linda Goodman. It was Linda Goodman's Love Signs, and I don't know, I just started reading it one day, and it just clicked, and I felt like I took to it very well, and I was pretty hooked on trying to uncover the answers to you know uh personality, how humans function, and it basically started my whole journey where things like kind of like connections started to rapidly flow in my life, and I started to kind of begin my whole awakening process. Although I think by the time I was 21, that's right, it really started to like take off for me, where I started to get, you know, in the knack of wanting to read charts and really understand how amazing and beautiful this science, this art actually is.
Thank you. That is so intriguing. In fact, speaking of intriguing, there were a couple fancy words that you had shared with me earlier, and because you're talking about humanity, I'm I don't recall the exact word itself, but I know that you know what it is. It's the business of connecting somehow the alignment of our galaxy system to spirituality or Christianity specifically. Could you just give us a sentence about that, about how you
Oh,
got into that?
I think you're referring to astrotheology.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you actually look in our in ancient texts and in our biblical meanings, we're actually they're actually referring to well, first of all, the ancient texts, the Bible and stuff like that, they're all, allegorical, and they are all translated into astrological, alchemical, anatomical, and physiological translations. So,
Wow.
and it's basically referring to a book that is about you returning to source and finding your way to Christ
I
consciousness.
love that.
With the use of the stars and astrology, I mean, there's plenty of verses I can point to, like Isaiah 47:13 or Genesis 1:14. Um, there's all kinds of verses that point to the use of the stars in astrology. Um, and like for an example, what we're talking about with astrotheology is that like let's just like the sun is basically a metaphor for Jesus. Jesus is like without the sun, all life would perish, just like they describe Jesus. It is your risen savior, because if the sun doesn't rise, you're dead in about 6 to 4 weeks. Um, it is a light of the world because it literally lights the world in the day. The 12 signs are really the 12 disciples that the sun travels about in, or that, that
I love how poetic
the
this is.
followers. Yeah, it's all a metaphor. Like at Virgo the Virgin, which I believe you're a Virgo, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
admitting
Mary
to all
Mag
these people
that's
now.
Virgin Mary. That's Virgin Mary. That's Mary Magdalene. That's Virgo's always been depicted as an angelic looking woman that looks just like Virgin Mary.
Wow.
Um,
That's
you know,
hilarious. Okay, I'm sorry, but did I ever tell you that? Did we ever have the conversation? My nickname in college was the Virgin Eve. This is
oh
completely
really?
apart, but it's because of the way I carried myself. So that's
Yeah,
very
yeah, definitely.
interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, my daughter's Virgo rising, Virgo moon, and she
Ah,
was born on
mhm.
December 8th, which is the Immaculate Conception of Virgin Mary,
Wow.
which means because 9 months later it's Virgo season. That's why they have it. That's why the Catholics call it the Immaculate Conception. And then she ended up coming out having Virgo rising and a Virgo moon. So it's
Oh my
very, very
gosh.
interesting. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and I just want to emphasize here because I'm the one who happened to bring this term up or this concept up that it's not that we are espousing any one religion over any other. In fact, there's no religion involved in this. All right. So we are simply talking about looking at nature and the creation around us, even at scopes or levels that far exceed the physical horizon we can see here on Earth. And we are noting and acknowledging how, at that grand scale, all the elements can relate to us in this microcosm of our own form within our own population. And we happen to have handy, for most of us, the documentation within the Bible to use as a resource in order to make these connections. And so I want to thank you so much for mentioning something that, my goodness, in my entire life, I had never heard about until you brought it up to me. So, and now you shared it with this world who listens here. In the few minutes that we have left, is there any message that you would like to say for those who have never gone to an astrologist? Any word of encouragement or dispelling any myth? Anything along these lines?
Yeah, so I mean, I do often get people that don't really know a whole lot about astrology, and they are just starting off, and it's a big, like I said, it's a big, very long, complex science to learn, and you're never done learning it. It's you're always growing. I mean, the sky is infinite. We can always get more message from the sky, no matter what. It's always going to be
I
teaching us things.
love that.
Um, so. As far as like with astrology goes to first starting out and wanting to know about it, learn about it, um, you have to take it, small steps. You don't, and sometimes depending on how interested you are in it, the more you can get kind of overloaded in it. I know I did get mentally overloaded in it, but um,
Mhm.
you have to think of it in terms like, like say math, like, we're not going to teach you multiplication and division unless you learn addition and subtraction. You have to start small. First, get a
Yes.
handle of what the signs and the planets are. Just know what they mean,
Mhm.
get used to that. And then I would say after you know what the signs, the planets, and the houses mean, then go ahead, look at your chart and get used to um, how to start putting that together. And then I mean, it's complicated because there's also a lot of nuance as well. So you do have to start very small, and you do have to be a little bit discerning with astrology. And there's also a lot of misinformation, disinformation, with astrology, and a lot
Yes.
of different systems and variations used. And some people in the East, they use the sidereal and the Vedic system, um,
A whole other lecture in
which is
itself.
which is the
In the one
precession
minute
of
we
the
have left.
equinox.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I just want to emphasize for everyone, as you can tell by the way Casey houses his phrases, he is an avid teacher. He loves to teach people these concepts that he has devoted his life toward learning. And you can take classes from him as well. That's that's just a bonus to what we're talking about in terms of he's actually serving you within astrology and all its nuances. So if you are interested in setting up a time to visit with him, we have fairs, we have other events going on. Just check on the website, which is listed below this screen for details. And remember the name, just take it down, Casey Gizzi, because he's one you definitely want to discover things you've never imagined about yourself. Casey, thank you so much for choosing to come. I am hearing my holy alarm.
Yes. Okay.
We
Yeah.
have
No.
fit under the gun, and I am so happy that you called me at the last moment and said, "Hey, I'm available. You want to do this today?" I'm so
Yeah.
happy that we were able to
Likewise.
fit this in. This was
Thank you so
wonderful.
much. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again. And I got to have one of those astrotheology, is it? I got to have one of those sessions with you sometime because that just sounds very cool. I want to learn more about it as a student. And then if there's anything as it pertains to me, I'd like to know. And all
Yeah,
of you guys can
yeah,
do
it,
this.
it's
Mhm.
it's more of a lecture kind of thing, but it's also related to the other topic, which is astrotheology, which helps you to also understand how to heal your body and use timing
Yes.
methods
And on
to
that,
use astrology with.
guys, just come to him and say, teach me what you will. I really like this thing that you mentioned at that interview or that other. And trust me, he'll take that ball and roll with it with you. You'll end up in places you never imagined. All right. Thank you so much, Casey. I'm doing my
Yes,
famous
thank you so
one
much.
hand
You
namaste as I'm holding the
absolutely. Thank you
microphone with my other
so
hand.
much.
All right.
There's one hand will do. You get the message.
That's right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into Heart Space. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.
You bet.